Maybe Flamma was tricking Frieren. This place called Aureole might not even exist. In episode 4, Flamma predicted that Frieren would someday make a big mistake and come to want to understand humans. What Flamma left for Frieren was that journal recording Aureole, supposedly located at the distant northern end of the continent. So, does Aureole actually exist? The northern end of the continent, ENDE, was exactly where the Demon King resided, and the Demon King was defeated by the hero's party 80 years ago. So, how could Flam have reached that place 1,000 years ago when the Demon King was still alive? If it really existed, Himmel, who loved exploring, would definitely have combed through the entire area. Plus, in Flam's description, Aureole was this huge, wonderful place. After defeating the Demon King, how could the hero's party possibly have missed it? Maybe this place simply doesn't exist. Instead, it was a fantasy people held onto during the thousands of years they lived under the shadow of the Demon King's rule, being slaughtered by demons. It was an imagined, beautiful world where they could escape all the suffering and constraints of life. People back then desperately wanted such a place to be real. Flamma probably never reached any so-called Aureole. She just knew Frieren would defeat the Demon King, and that during that journey, Frieren would form deep bonds with her companions. Then, after those companions eventually passed away, Frieren would change. So she left this record to plant this seed of hope for Frieren. So, what do you think? Does Aureole exist? Tell me in the comments. Why is Saria so interested in this lone old man? What exactly is Denkin's appeal? Before even taking the first-class mage exam, Denkin was already an Imperial mage. In terms of pure power, he's probably above most first-class mages, but becoming an Imperial mage meant surviving brutal political struggles to reach that position. So, early in the anime, Denkin comes across as seriously calculating and ruthless, willing to do whatever it takes to win. His attitude towards other examinees' deaths and his successes gained by hiding and ambushing others perfectly reflect the coldness and craftiness of an Imperial mage. He believes titles like first-class mage don't require social morals. They're just symbols of authority. Real power comes from understanding people and holding position. For him, magic was never some noble pursuit. It was just a tool to gain power. This mindset mirrors Saria's own attitude towards magic, but that's only one side of him. The more important thing is this. Even knowing full well he was facing Frieren, a living legend right out of the stories, he still raised his staff and fought her. Naturally, Frieren easily defeated him. By exam rules, running out of mana meant he lost. Yet even then, he refused to give up. He shrugged off his mage's robes and fought with his fists, claiming his victory. That's the key. Even at an age where most are spent, he possesses this fierce, unyielding will. That is the true essence of his appeal. Uber might be the strongest mage of all. Crafted like a villain, she could probably even kill Ser if she imagined it. In the manga, she once again shows us her magic that defies all logic. Uber and Land were captured by the Imperial Mage Special Ops. Uber was blindfolded, and they were tied up with restraining ropes. These ropes had the power to block them from using magic. What's more, their captors implanted the idea in Uber's and Land's minds that the ropes binding them were actually made of metal. This made Uber unable to activate her magic. Land analyzed the situation. Uber's magic had previously defeated a copy of Sense. She completely ignored all the defensive spells Sense had layered onto her hair and sliced through it effortlessly. Land figured Uber's magic could ignore any magic applied to something, meaning if Uber believed an object could be cut, she would cut it, just like when she cut down that mage famous for his defense. Still, Land thought that without being able to activate her magic, Uber's ability was useless. Even so, he cautiously asked Uber if she could use her magic. Uber didn't answer with words. Instead, she answered with action, effortlessly cutting through the very ropes designed to block magic use. Holy crap, what just happened? Uber used her magic despite the block, completely ignoring the can't use magic rule. This is like reality-bending magic. If she believes something can be cut, she cuts it. Whether she can use magic or not doesn't matter. Maybe if Uber could fully unleash her imagination, she could ignore all of Ser's defenses and actually kill her. Just how powerful is Serie, known as the strongest mage? In the upcoming Golden Land arc, we get to see her fight Macht. Macht, a demon even Frieren couldn't defeat. Frieren challenged him once and suffered a crushing loss, but when Saria faced him, she easily overpowered Macht, pushing him to the brink. At the very start of the fight, Macht didn't even sense Saria before she appeared right behind him, threatening him to lift the golden transformation. Macht didn't recognize Saria. He attacked her with his strongest spell, Dia Goldze, but he discovered the attack hit himself instead. Turns out, as a living grimoire, Saria possesses curse reversal spell, Mistilziella, which reflected Macht's attack back onto him. Then, when Macht tried a physical attack, Syria used spatial magic, warping the space around the blade right before it hit her. Syria handled Macht, the strongest of the 7 Sages of Destruction, a foe all the first-class mages together couldn't beat, with absolute ease. In this battle, it almost looked like Siri was toying with him. When Siri taught Denkin the Mistilziella spell, she mentioned it's incredibly mana-intensive, but she herself can maintain it continuously. Saria's mana pool is absurdly huge. She probably keeps various defensive spells active around her body at all all times. The rate these defenses drain her mana can't even keep up with her natural regeneration speed. So while defensive magic is a massive drain for normal people, she can run them full time, no problem. You could say virtually no attack could actually harm her. Could anyone possibly defeat Serie, who's basically in a constant state of invincibility? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hyder's character as a drinking priest might seem like just a funny contrast, but there's actually more to this simple trait. The anime actually explains Hyder's view on faith way back in episode 4. In this episode, as Himmel's party passes Aizen's hometown and sees Aizen's parents' graves, Hyder immediately squats down to pray. Aizen doesn't get it, believing death leads to nothingness, while Hyder believes people go to heaven. Just considering this episode's title, Hyder's Act of Prayer, and Aizen's thoughts, it naturally sparks that whole debate about souls in heaven. Frieren even mentions that Aizen's nihilism was the mainstream belief 1,000 years ago, and that she herself doubts heaven's existence. Hyder and Aizen's views clash directly, while Frieren takes a more scientifically rational approach. Himmel then jumps into the discussion, saying it doesn't matter whether heaven exists or not. Surprisingly, Hyder agrees with Himmel. He doesn't care if heaven exists either. So why would Hyder, a priest, deny heaven? The answer is that Hyder leans more towards faith as a personal, subjective thing. While he acknowledges the Lady Goddess exists, he sees her more as personal consciousness and inner experience, not a set of rules. That's why Hyder can faithfully believe in the goddess, while also eating meat and drinking, breaking the precepts. It's not just because Hyder in German means cheerful, tipsy, slightly drunk, but because he's someone who savors the present and lives more optimistically. What if Himmel and Frieren never met? When Himmel was little, he met Frieren. To calm his nerves, she used that beautiful spell to produce a field of flowers. It was that very moment that later made Himmel choose to invite Frieren to join his party. So what would have happened if they'd never crossed paths? First off, Frieren, being a long-lived elf, would have kept on her lonely journey without Himmel. She'd spend her days honing the skills Flamma passed down to her, but without that deep bond with Himmel, she'd have grown even more closed off. As for Himmel, never meeting Frieren would have messed up his path to becoming the hero. He might not even have beaten the Demon King. The heroes already lifted each other up. Without Frieren, they couldn't have sealed Qual, wouldn't have taken down Aura, and all those legendary tales afterward? Gone. Fern, the war orphan who lost her parents, might have ended her life by jumping off a cliff. Stark, the coward sheltered by his brother, would never have become the guy who slays dragons. Butterfly's wings might seem like no big deal, just a tiny flutter, but the ripple effect, huge. If Frieren hadn't cast that spell to produce a field of flowers, who knows where the whole story would have gone. Love and peace have always been at the heart of this story. The way that spell to produce a field of flowers gets passed down and used, it deepens everything. Himmel and Frieren's meeting planted a seed of hope. It felt like chance, but maybe it was meant to be. It sketched out a brighter future for the whole tale. Frieren's true greatest strength isn't her powerful magic, it's her terrifying analytical ability. Back in the very first episode, Hyder asked Frieren to decipher a magic tome. As the world's strongest priest, Hyder himself had deciphered countless holy scriptures and magic tomes. This tells us the tome Hyder gave Frieren must have been insanely tough to crack. Yet, Frieren spent several years fully deciphering just that one book. The current human magic system's offensive magic originated from Qual's killing magic, Zoltrak. Frieren was the key figure in deciphering Zoltrak. She not only analyzed it, but also modified the resulting offensive magic, adapting it specifically to kill demons. When fighting Aura, facing the mind-controlled immortal warriors, she used magic to remove the spell of obedience, Auserlise, binding them. Watching the show, we didn't actually see Frieren analyze that spell, but if you pay close attention to the anime's details, during her deciphering of Hyder's tome in Season 1, one page clearly showed Auserlise. This means Frieren had already deciphered Auserlise long before her fight with Aura. You could say the outcome of that battle was decided years in advance. In the first-class mage exam arc, Frieren also deciphered the barrier magic surrounding the exam grounds. This gave Serie, whom she hadn't seen in 1,000 years, one huge surprise. And in the upcoming The Golden Land arc, Frieren deciphers Mokt's centuries of memories, lifting the golden transformation. Even more incredibly, in the middle of fighting an opponent on her own level, she actually had the focus left to decipher the magic turning an entire massive area to gold. You could say Frieren's power comes down to her deep love for magic and her relentless dedication to studying it.